The human heart, that marvelous, squishy organ that's not just responsible for pumping blood, but also for pumping up all those feelings we have about love and relationships. It's fascinating how the heart has become this symbolic representation of our emotions, love, and deep connections with others. It's like the ultimate metaphorical Swiss Army knife, versatile, powerful, and sometimes a little confusing. So, let's dive into the whirlwind world of the heart and relationships, where love can make it race, break, and even grow stronger. Let's start with that exhilarating moment when you first fall in love. You know the one. Your heart races, palms sweat, and suddenly you're convinced you've found your soulmate. But why does our heart beat faster when we're in love? Well, it turns out that love triggers a cocktail of hormones, dopamine, adrenaline, and oxytocin, that sends our bodies into a state of blissful chaos. It's like your heart is throwing a little party, and everyone's invited. This physiological response is not just about romance. It's wired into our biology. Love is, after all, a survival mechanism designed to help us bond and reproduce. Talk about a primal connection. Now let's take a step back and look at the cycle of relationships around the human heart. Relationships have a natural ebb and flow, right? They can start with that thrilling rush of infatuation, evolve into a deeper emotional connection, and sometimes, unfortunately, collapse under the weight of unmet expectations or misunderstandings. It's like a roller coaster ride, full of ups and downs, twists and turns, and sometimes a sudden drop that leaves you gasping for breath. But here's the kicker. Even when love evolves or falls apart, it leaves an indelible mark on our hearts. Each relationship teaches us something, whether it's about love, ourselves, or what we truly desire. Culturally, the heart holds significant meaning across the globe. In literature, art, and music, it's often depicted as the seat of love and emotion. From Shakespeare's sonnets to pop ballads, the heart is a perennial symbol of romance. But let's not forget the flip side of this poetic portrayal. Love can also lead to heartbreak, jealousy, and emotional turmoil. The heart is not just a symbol of joy, it's a vessel for pain, too. And boy, can that pain feel physical. Speaking of physicality, let's talk about the positive and negative impacts of love on our hearts. On the bright side, loving relationships can lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and even enhance immune function. It's like having a built-in health coach that cheers you on from the sidelines. But on the darker side, relationships can also contribute to chronic stress and even lead to something called broken heart syndrome. Yes, it's a real thing. When grief and stress overwhelm you, your heart can react in ways that mimic a heart attack. So it's a double-edged sword, really. Modern research continues to explore the intricate relationship between love and heart health. Studies have shown that people in loving relationships tend to have better heart health. They experience lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and higher levels of oxytocin, the love hormone. It's a beautiful symbiosis, where love nurtures our hearts, and in turn, healthier hearts can foster deeper connections. Isn't that just poetic? Now, let's shift gears and delve into the metaphorical heart. When we talk about the heart in relationships, we're not just referring to the physical organ. We're also speaking about the emotional and spiritual connections we forge with others. The metaphorical heart is where love lives, where trust is built, and where vulnerability blooms. It's the warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you're with someone who truly gets you. And let's face it, who doesn't want to feel that way? But what about the science of heart health and relationships? Can a relationship actually cause heart problems? The answer is yes, it can. Toxic relationships, filled with stress and negativity, can take a toll on your cardiovascular health. So it's essential to choose relationships that uplift and empower you. Think of your heart as a garden. You wouldn't plant weeds and expect a beautiful bloom, right? Similarly, nurturing your emotional garden with positive relationships can lead to a flourishing heart. Now, let's get into some juicy questions about love and the human heart. Can you get over a broken heart when you still love the heartbreaker? The classic conundrum. It's possible, but it can be a tough journey. Healing often requires time, self-reflection, and sometimes a little distance. It's like trying to mend a shattered vase. It takes patience and care to piece it back together. So, what happens to the human body when we're in love? Well, let's break it down by gender. For men, love often triggers an increase in testosterone, which can lead to feelings of confidence and attraction. On the flip side, women may experience a surge of estrogen, enhancing emotional bonding and nurturing instincts. It's like a cosmic dance, where hormones lead the way, setting the stage for romance. And does your heart beat harder when you're in love? Absolutely! That rush of adrenaline can make your heart race like it's just run a marathon. It's nature's way of reminding us that love is exhilarating, thrilling, and sometimes a little terrifying. Now, let's explore relationships that are truly healthy for the heart. These are the connections that bring out the best in us, that encourage growth, vulnerability, and open communication. A loving relationship can be a sanctuary, providing support during tough times and celebrating the joys of life together. It's the kind of bond that feels like coming home, where two hearts beat as one, harmonizing in a beautiful rhythm. But what about the impact of loving relationships on the human heart? Research shows that loving relationships can lead to significant health benefits. Reduced stress, lower blood pressure, improved heart rate regulation, enhanced immune function, and even better sleep are just a few of the perks. It's like having a personal cheerleader who helps keep your heart healthy and happy. However, we can't ignore the potential negative outcomes. Chronic stress from unhealthy relationships can lead to increased blood pressure and even broken heart syndrome. So, it's crucial to recognize when a relationship is doing more harm than good. Remember, your heart deserves love, not stress. Now, let's talk about the stages of falling in love. It usually starts with attraction, followed by infatuation, and then, if you're lucky, it evolves into deep emotional intimacy. Each stage brings its own set of physical manifestations: sweaty palms, butterflies in the stomach, and that dreamy look in your eyes. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and every twist and turn is worth the ride. Have you ever heard of hemophilia? It's the phenomenon of falling in love with the same person over and over again. It's like a delicious cycle of passion, where you rediscover the magic of your partner time and time again. It's a beautiful testament to the depth of love and the heart's capacity to forgive and grow. And speaking of two hearts beating as one, there's observable evidence of this phenomenon. Couples in loving relationships often start to mirror each other's behaviors and even physiological responses. It's like a synchronized dance, where each partner moves in harmony with the other. Isn't that just heartwarming? Let's not forget the positive outcomes of loving relationships. Reduced stress, lower blood pressure, improved heart rate regulation, and enhanced immune function are just the tip of the iceberg. A loving relationship can create a sense of safety and belonging that nourishes our hearts and souls. And who wouldn't want that? But, as we mentioned earlier, there can be potential negative outcomes too. Chronic stress from a toxic relationship can lead to increased blood pressure and even broken heart syndrome. It's a reminder that our emotional health is intricately linked to our physical health. So, choose wisely when it comes to love. Now, let's explore the impact of lasting relationships on the heart: spiritual, psychological, and physical. A lasting relationship can nourish the spiritual heart, providing a sense of purpose and meaning. It can also heal the psychological heart by fostering trust and emotional safety. And let's not forget the physical heart, which thrives in a loving environment. It's a holistic approach to love that nurtures every aspect of our being. Throughout history, the concepts of relationships and the human heart have evolved. From ancient traditions that celebrated love as a divine force, to modern interpretations that embrace individuality and partnership, our understanding of love continues to grow. It's a beautiful tapestry woven from the threads of culture, tradition, and personal experiences. So, what are some heart health principles for lasting relationships? Communication is key. Open, honest dialogue fosters trust and understanding. Prioritize quality time together. Nurture each other's dreams, and practice gratitude. Remember, love is not just a feeling, it's an action that requires effort and intention. In conclusion, the human heart is a remarkable organ, that symbolizes our deepest emotions and connections. Relationships can elevate our hearts, teaching us about love, vulnerability, and growth. They can also challenge us, pushing us to confront our fears and insecurities. But through it all, the heart remains resilient, capable of healing, loving, and thriving. So, let's cherish our hearts, nurture our relationships, and embrace the beautiful journey of love.